Hey guys, it is Daun Jacobsen, and I help high potential entrepreneurs move past the fear and blocks that are keeping them back from making the income and living the lifestyle they need to impact the world in a big way. Usually I do face-to-face videos, so this is a little bit different, but I wanted to create a tutorial because some of my clients have been asking me how to do an editorial calendar. So when you are becoming visible online with your message in your business, it is imperative that you post on your social media at least 10 to 12 times a day. That is optimal. 10 to 12 times a day while your audience is active online. And so in order to help do this, what is useful is to create an editorial calendar. An editorial calendar that gives you ideas in advance of what to post when, so that you can get them pre-scheduled and you don't have to be up all hours of the day interrupting your schedule to get things posted onto your social media outlets. So what I'd like to do on this video is show you how I do my editorial calendar. And so let's go ahead and get started with that. I actually utilize Google Calendar to lay out my posts, and I am going to go into that right now. So most of us have logins to our Gmail or Google because of various phone and all sorts of other things. Google's very popular. So you will need an account to do that. I'm going to go ahead and sign into one of them here. I'm on google.com, as you can see. I'm going to go ahead and sign in. I have many, but I'm going to choose this one for right now. Put in my password and sign in. And then what you'll want to do is navigate to this little dial pad type thing right here. Click on that and click on your calendar, and that'll pull up your calendar. Now it defaults to your main calendar, but what it does is it allows you the option of putting in or creating separate calendars. So what I do is I utilize the main screen, not on this account, but I utilize the main screen on my other Gmail account for my calendar that I see on my phone, but I also have a content calendar. And what you do to create that is you click here on my calendars, and a little screen area will pop up and it will say create new calendar. That's what we want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and click there. Let's name this calendar Content Calendar. We don't really need to give it a description or anything like that because this calendar is going to be just for our use. But it is important to note that you can share your content calendar with other people by making it public, or by sharing it with specific people by putting in their email address and allowing them to make changes and manage sharing, or to just see the event details. That's really useful when you do hire a virtual assistant in order to allow them to have access to your content calendar to make changes and post things out under your direction. So just a note for anyone who is using a VA or will in the future. I'm going to go ahead and click on Create Calendar, and that will take me back to the correct calendar. It says it's loading here, so we'll wait just a minute. My internet is a bit slow. All right, so now when I click on my calendars, you'll see here that I have two different content calendars. I'm going to go ahead and use the red content calendar. If you prefer, instead of doing what I show you by keeping them all on one calendar, you could create a calendar for each social media outlet that you have. So for instance, you could have one for your Facebook posts, one for your Twitter posts, one for your LinkedIn, and so on and so forth. I personally like to keep them all on one calendar, but there are options to keep them separate. So I'm going to go ahead though and show you the way that I do it, and I'm going to choose this red content calendar and go into that so that I am on that calendar. All right, so now what I do is, in order to get started with my editorial calendar, the first thing that I want to do is I want to be able to create a variety of different posts that will be relevant to my audience. So there are a number of different types of posts that you can put onto your social media that will be engaging to your audience. I'm going to go ahead and give you several of them here. If you want to write them down, they're types of content that you can post. One of type is a quote. So you can either use a picture for that quote, or you can just go ahead and find a quote that they would like, or that would resonate with them, and put that quote in as a text. You can go ahead and do tips and tricks, like, did you know this information, statistics that will be relevant to them. You can go ahead and put in a daily post. So that would be Monday mindset, or Wednesday wisdom, Thursday throwback, and then create something around that that would invite your audience to put stuff out onto the Facebook page or your Twitter account to engage with you on that particular topic for the day. You can ask a discussion question like, have you ever this, or have you ever that? You can create or put in links and curated items from other individuals. So if you find an article that is of interest or would be of interest to your audience, you can take that link and post it in as a piece of content on your social media outlet. You can choose to put videos from YouTube or Vimeo onto your stream that will also be relevant to your audience. One thing that we tend to leave out, though, especially as businesses, is that our audiences want to be able to get behind the scenes and see what it is that we are doing, kind of get that personal touch from who is this business owner, who is the personality behind our brand. And so one of the types of posts that I like to do is a personal post that kind of shows, my office or what I'm up to that day, and something more on a personal line, maybe a picture of my kids or so. And that's just really a level of comfort for you. But it can help to create engagement with your audience when they know that you have a life too. You're a real person. So once I've decided what types of posts I am going to do, I set that aside for a moment, and then I go back in here to my content calendar, and I like to set out my posts about every 2 hours apart during the peak times that my audience is online. Now, my audience online for our business owners, women entrepreneurs, and so they start getting online about 5 o'clock in the morning, because usually women start looking at their phones first thing in the morning, and they're up usually until about midnight or so. And so my posting schedule goes from 5 o'clock in the morning all the way until about midnight, and I post those posts about 2 hours apart throughout that time frame. So the first thing that I'm going to do on my calendar is I'm going to go ahead and line out the framework, and then I'm going to go back and fill it in with the types of content that I want to use in order to put it onto my particular social media outlets. So let's find 5 o'clock in the morning. Here we are. And I double clicked and that opened up in a point. I'm going to put sample post 1, and I'm going to click repeat here. So repeat daily, because I want to be making this post every single day. I'm going to schedule it out every day of the week at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to repeat that. There's no end, and I'm going to click done. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to assign a color to this. Because I want my Facebook posts on this calendar to be separate from my Twitter posts and my LinkedIn posts and every other social media outlet that I'm on, I'm going to categorize them by putting them in yellow. And then I'm going to click Save. And as you can see, that will line out a sample post for Facebook, because again, I gave Facebook yellow, every day of the week at 5 a.m. Next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and continue on with this. I'm going to click on 7 a.m. and do the same thing. Sample post 2. I'm going to repeat daily. Done. Categorize it as yellow. Save. And so on and so forth until I have up to 10 to 12 posts set for the times that my clients are usually online, or my potential audience is online. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on in between here, or even at the same time, but I'll pick in between, so 6:30, and I'm going to put sample post 1. But this one is going to be a repeat daily, and it's going to be blue because I'm going to indicate that my posts for Twitter are going to be blue, and that differentiates them from the Facebook posts, which are yellow on this same calendar. I'm going to click save there. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to narrow this down to be from an hour-long appointment to a 15-minute appointment, and I'm going to click save. Oh, that's not right. I had PM. Yeah, that always happens when you're recording a video. I want this on the same day, so we're going to click that back. There we go. Oops. 9:24, 6:30 a.m., so 6:15 to 6:30 on the same day. There we go. That'll save it. Okay, so there you can see I now have my Twitter post, my one Twitter post for the day lined out as well. And again, I would go back through and I would do up to 10 or 12 of these so that I have them fairly spaced out across my social media outlets for the peak times that my particular potential clients and audience are going to be online. And that is how I do that. The next thing that I do is I'm going to go into a content curator and go back here and start plugging in the different content types that I want to utilize for my posts. And I will show you that here in just a moment.